Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. I am Ryan Clifton Bowling. Thank you for joining me. I want to get right down to the news. I was reading an article in reference to President Joe Biden appointing or nominating a black female that would take in the Supreme Court justice that would take the place of another Supreme Court justice judge who will be retiring. Now, what this speaks to me is simply affirmative action big time, okay? Now, you may say, wait, are you against affirmative action? I'm going to explain that to you. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to read this article to you guys. I'm going to read this article. It's a short article. I'm going to read this article. And then when I'm completed reading this article, I'm going to give you my opinions on affirmative action. So let's begin. The title of the article is It's Official. Biden announces Breyer's retirement, promises to replace him with a black woman. This is taken from the conservative news site Red State. On Thursday, President Joe Biden officially announced the retirement of Supreme Court Justice Stephen Breyer and vowed to swiftly replace him with a black woman. Biden called Breyer, 83, a, quote, model public servant in a time of great division in this country. Breyer took his seat on the court back in 1995 with Biden presiding over the Senate confirmation hearing as chair of the Senate Judiciary Committee. We all had high hopes for the mark he would leave on the history of law and the Constitution, said Biden of Breyer, and he's exceeded those hopes in every possible way. As previously reported by Red State, Breyer's departure came after the urging of leftist activists who learned their lesson from Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg's refusal to step away from her position, only to pass away during the height of the Trump administration. Then President Donald Trump was successful in appointing 3 justices to the court, including Neil Gorsuch, Amy Coney Barrett, and Brett Kavanaugh, tipping the ideological balance further to the right. Not willing to take that chance again, Breyer was pushed to retire before the midterm elections, which did not look promising for Democrats. USA Today reported that Biden confirmed that the next justice will be a black woman, with the top candidate being Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson. President Joe Biden confirmed Thursday he will nominate a black woman to serve on the Supreme Court for the first time in the nation's history. One person widely considered to be a top candidate, Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, the 51-year-old Harvard law grad who was recently confirmed to a seat on the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit, was floated as a possible nominee back in 2016 when President Barack Obama was still in the White House. Jackson was previously a law clerk for Breyer. CNBC reported that at this time, Jackson had support from all 50 Democrats and 3 Republicans, those being Senators Susan Collins of Maine, Lindsey Graham of South Carolina, and Lisa Murkowski of Alaska. I'm probably not getting these names right. I need to do more practice. Please forgive me, guys. They probably like, you need to do more practicing with these names. But they shouldn't have weird names. God, how come people can have normal names? Like Ryan Bowling, okay? Anyway, at least one Democrat had signaled that the new justice should be less concerned with the law. Now, this is the part that gets me. I want you to listen to this. At least one Democrat had signaled that the new justice should be less concerned with the law and more concerned with things like social justice. Here we go. As Red State reported on Thursday, Mazie Hirono told MSNBC that the concern should be based on people and not making decisions just based on the law. Really? To be sure, Jackson seemed to have a bad habit of being overruled by her higher courts after getting the law wrong. Regardless, there are other names currently being floated, but Jackson seems to be in the running for the top choice to replace Breyer. And that's the end of that article right there. Excuse me. But let's just get right down to it right up the front. First and foremost, it's clear to me that what Joe Biden is using is affirmative action to appoint the first black Supreme Court female in the Supreme Court. You know, and it seems that he wants to make history. But here's the problem. It seems evident that he's using affirmative action. Now, some of you may argue about, am I against affirmative action? Now, let me point something out about affirmative action. First of all, affirmative action was initiated in the 1960s and was supposedly designed to help disenfranchise blacks at the time or prior to that were being discriminated against in businesses and schools and other corporations simply because of their race. So I guess the objective was to bring equality to blacks. Now, maybe the intention was sincere. In my opinion, I don't think it was. And I'm going to explain to you why I don't believe that was the case. Because I don't believe liberals care about black people. I believe liberal politicians and liberal intelligentsia are racist against blacks, okay? And I have reasons to believe that. I don't believe they care about minorities. I don't believe all of them, they supported eugenics, the eugenics program in the 1920s and 30s with people like Margaret Sangers and stuff. I don't believe at all that they care. But anyway, let's assume they do. The purpose of affirmative action in the which was initiated in the 1960s during the time of Lyndon B. Johnson's Great Society program was supposed to bring equality to black people, right? But here's the problem with that. Under the research of economist Thomas Sowell, which most of you probably already know, he stated years ago, back in the 80s, I believe, he was on a talk show called the Buckingham Talk Show. I believe the name of the individual was Buckingham, I believe. And he was on this talk show. And essentially, well, it wasn't a talk show. It was kind of like a commentary show. And essentially, Thomas Sowell was telling him, and I'm paraphrasing his words, that affirmative action, even though the objective was to be beneficial to blacks, didn't help blacks out at all. It didn't help blacks. It really hurt blacks. Now, I'm not going to go into detail with that. What I advise you guys to do is I'm going to give a quick book recommendation. If you don't have this book, purchase this book either on Amazon or whatever. Purchase this book, or you can purchase it flat out like this, hard copy or soft copy, you know, and you have it in your hands, or you can purchase it on the Amazon ebook or whatever that is. You can purchase it there on your Kindle. Yeah, on your Kindle, you can purchase it there. But whatever the case may be, this is written by Jason L. Riley, a conservative economist and commentator. And this book is out of sight. If you want to give statistics and data, this book is awesome. It was written in 2015, but it's awesome. I really highly recommend it. Buy this book. It's a section in there talking about affirmative action, and Jason L. Riley explains it perfectly. But my whole point is to say this about affirmative action. What affirmative action ended up doing is it actually ended up hurting black people. Now you may say how? Because affirmative action says that we're going to put people of color or minorities in positions based on their race and not their qualifications. Forget about whether or not they earned the position or not. We're going to mandate businesses and schools and corporations to hire and place black people in positions simply because they're black. The ipso facto concept of that is simply this. By doing so, they end up denying and rejecting qualified white people and qualified Asians. Now, someone may say, well, so what? You know, they did it to blacks. But here's something that people don't understand. And these are the words, I'm quoting Thomas Sowell's research. He stated that prior to the affirmative action initiation that started in the 60s, prior to that, blacks, although they was doing it slowly, between the 30s and the 40s, I think the 30s and the 50s actually went up to the 50s, blacks were progressing economically and progressing academically. In other words, blacks were growing in areas of economics, and in income, and in areas of academics before the so-called affirmative action mandated by the government came and tried to change everything. They were already learning. Blacks were already on the rise. Basically, Thomas Sowell was saying we didn't need, or at the time, and still don't, as far as I'm concerned, but at the time, blacks didn't need affirmative action. All affirmative action does is it hurts black people. Even if the intention was to help black people, the statistics show that it has actually hurt black people in the long run. For one, what affirmative action does, and you may say, what's that got to do with what Biden is doing? Well, you can clearly see that more than likely, but I'm going to get to that in a minute. What it does, first of all, it puts black people in a bad light. Because what affirmative action does is it tells people in general, whites and others who are in a job or a school, that the only reason why this black person has this position is because of affirmative action. So now the black person has to break their neck basically to prove otherwise. So now you have tension in the atmosphere that did not need to be there. Why? Because of so-called affirmative action. Here's something else that a lot of people don't pay attention to. They say, well, all this discrimination, they was discriminating against blacks, woo, 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 woo. Okay. But right now, schools and places of employment, but mainly a lot of these Ivy League colleges and stuff, are rejecting whites and rejecting Asians because, get this now, here's the killer part. You ready? Because the vast majority of these whites and the vast majority of the Asians have higher academic scores than the blacks. So what these schools are doing, not all of them, but a vast majority of them, to bring equality and affirmative action to minorities, they're rejecting qualified whites and qualified Asians and bringing in people who are not qualified, who don't have the academic stamina to be able to handle the workload. Is that bringing equality to the black community? Is that bringing equality to black people? No. We don't need your affirmative action, as far as I'm concerned. It's hurting the black people. Here's something else. Asians are beating out blacks and whites economically and educationally. And academically, basically. They're beating out white people. Now, can you say that's racism or discrimination? Or who is discriminating against white people in that case? If Asians have higher academic scores and are earning more a year in terms of income than both blacks and whites, then how do we explain that? I'll tell you how we explain that. We explain that with what Thomas Sowell calls culture. And you say, what do you mean? Well, many of the Asians embrace learning and embrace capitalism in a way that blacks and whites of 2022 America don't embrace anymore. Blacks back in the days, in the 20s and the 30s and the 40s, whites back in the days, in the 20s and 30s and the 40s, they embraced capitalism and they embraced education. Blacks back then embraced education. We had the Black Renaissance, Black Wall Street, all that type of stuff. Why? Because they embraced it. They didn't need affirmative action. Affirmative action hurt black people because what happened was when affirmative action was initiated, the income of blacks went down. The education of blacks went down because the idea was, well, hey, I don't need to study. I don't need to get an education. I don't need to get A's and B's in my studies. I don't need to qualify. All I need to do is be black and they'll put me in a position. I don't need to earn this position. I don't need to qualify. All I have to do is be black and they'll put me in this position. As a result, it has led to the academic levels of blacks who are attending college or plan on going to college to be lowered because they figure, what's the point in striving? Another thing that this does, it hurts black people who are trying to be qualified, who are working hard, who are trying to do the best they can to earn their position in a Ivy League college, to earn their position on a job, or whatever the case may be, if it's a high level position. It hurts them because now they're being viewed, as I said earlier, by everyone else as you didn't get this position because you earned it. You got this position because you're black. Now, how do you think that black person feels? All because of affirmative action. Now, let's go back to what Biden is doing. These people make me want to barf. I don't think for once he's tearing up the black community. So basically what you're saying is, Mr. Biden, you're going to appoint this person under the pressure of these nutbag liberals to put a black person in this particular position as a Supreme Court justice. Now, this person the article did say that they had an education. But remember what else the article said, that this person was getting pressures from other liberals to be more concerned about people's feelings than the law. So forget about the law, forget about right and wrong. You should be concerned about people and how they feel. So when it comes to decisions being made in the Supreme Court, which is a life decision, forget about the law, forget about right and wrong, just think about how people feel. You see what's going on here? You see what's going on? So I believe that he's using affirmative action. Forget about qualifications. Forget about earning your way. This makes black people, affirmative action, regardless of the intentions, is making black people look bad. It's making black people look bad. That's why, and I'm going to close on this. I'm a fiction writer, right? And I was sharing this with a friend of mine. I'm a fiction writer. I've been writing fiction for some years now. And the fiction that I write, I don't write about black matters. I don't write urban fiction and all that. I don't have no problem with that, but I don't write about that. People think that because I'm black, that's what I'm supposed to write about. Man, if you don't get away from me with that stupidity, it's going to be a problem. I'm black, so I'm supposed to write about black matters. Man, get out of here. Don't make me angry. Don't make me angry. I write about what Ryan Clifton Bowling wants to write about, okay? Okay, now, I write suspense, horror, drama, that type of stuff. The things that I write about are common with all races, okay? The characters and so forth. But my whole point is saying this, I'm babbling. My whole point is this. My purpose is to be the best writer that I can be. Okay? To be the best writer that I can be. I don't get a lot of stuff published because I don't send a lot of my work out. But 3 short stories that I did send out some years ago were accepted, were published, and the publishers were impressed by it. I never give the race of the characters in my stories. And I never give my race to the publishers. You say, why? Because I don't want the publishers to say, oh, this guy's a black guy. We're going to regulate his stories to the black sections. Forget about qualifications. Forget about being a great writer, which is what I am. I'm a good writer, okay? Forget about all of that. We're going to regulate him to this section. People accept my writing because I'm a good writer, not because I'm black. I've earned my position as a good fiction writer, not because I'm black. So anything that if I get published, I'm getting published not because I'm black. I get published because I'm a great writer. That's why I don't tell the publishers my race, and I don't give the racial ethnicities of any of the characters in my books and my short stories. I want you to like the story based on writing merit alone, not my race. You get what I'm saying? I don't need your affirmative action because I know who I am. I'm a decently intelligent young man, and I know who I am. I don't need the government telling me I'm going to give you a position simply because of your race. We're going right back to what Martin Luther King was trying to get away from. It's just been flipped around. And Joe Biden and his administration and these socialists and these Marxists and these communists are further dividing this country with something that they claim is helping minorities. It's not. It's hurting us. But that's all I wanted to say about that. What do you guys think about that? Leave your comments in the comment section below. What do you think about what Biden is trying to do? Do you believe this is right or wrong? Leave your comments in the comment section below. You know where I stand on it. I believe it's wrong. I know what he's doing. He's using affirmative action. It's not about qualifications. It's about putting the first black person and female in the Supreme Court. Really? That's what I believe, okay? Whatever you believe, leave your comments in the comment section below. If you like this video, press the like button, share this video, and subscribe. God bless you all, and see you again.